Dementia Researcher with a blog and a rating.
Pride season is coming to an end, and I've wanted to write this piece for a while, and I kept stalling because I wasn't sure I'd find enough to fill it. That turned out to be the point. The question I started with seems simple enough. Do LGBT people face a higher risk of dementia? I work in dementia epidemiology. I'm part of this community, and I assumed a reasonable answer was sitting in a paper somewhere. It mostly isn't. Once you understand why, it's hard to look at our data infrastructure the same way again. So why would we expect a difference? Minority stress theory holds that living with stigma, discrimination, and constant low-grade vigilance takes a cumulative toll, and chronic stress has measurable effects on the aging brain. LGBT people also carry more of the risk factors we already know matter: higher rates of depression, smoking, and cardiovascular disease. The hypothesis is sound. Testing it is the hard part. The largest study so far appeared in Neurology in 2024. Howe and colleagues analysed nearly 400,000 adults in the US All of Us research program, roughly 1 in 10 of whom belonged to a sexual or gender minority group. They found 15% higher odds of a composite brain health outcome covering stroke, dementia, and late-life depression. For dementia alone, the odds ratio was 1.14. A real signal, but a marginal one. The subgroup findings are more striking. Gender-diverse participants had roughly double the odds of dementia, and transgender women had elevated odds of stroke. Both estimates rest on small numbers and wide intervals, so I treat them as leads with following rather than settled findings. A second study used the Nurses' Health Study 2, with more than 70,000 women. Sexual minority women reported 29% more symptoms of subjective cognitive decline than completely heterosexual women, with the largest disparity among bisexual women. Then there's the counterweight. Flatt and colleagues compared older adults in same-sex and opposite-sex relationships and found no difference in dementia or mild cognitive impairment. A UK study complicated things further, suggesting excess risk concentrated in people under age 55. So the picture is mixed. Mixed evidence is normal, and I don't find that troubling in itself. What concerns me is the reason behind it. The All of Us study is cross-sectional. It captures identity and diagnosis at a single point, so it can't establish temporal ordering. The causal claims are off the table. It's also a volunteer cohort. The people who enroll differ systematically from the population, which limits how far the estimates can travel. The Nurses' Health Study has the opposite profile: strong longitudinal design and well-characterized participants, but the outcome was subjective cognitive decline rather than diagnosed dementia. Subjective decline predicts dementia imperfectly. There's also a question I haven't seen anyone resolve. If you carry more psychological distress, do you notice and report more memory lapses independent of any underlying pathology? That would inflate the disparity without any difference in brain health. The cohort is also almost entirely white female nurses, which tells us little about gay men or trans people. The Flatt study inferred sexual minority status from being in a same-sex relationship. Consider who that misses: single people, widowed people, and anyone not openly partnered. Most health datasets never asked. The UK consensus added a sexual orientation question for the first time in 2021. Decades of otherwise excellent cohort data are silent on this, and you can't retrofit the question onto a cohort you recruited 20 years ago. The consequences of this run deep. We have no population neuropathology in LGBT people, so we don't know whether the underlying brain changes differ. We have almost nothing on transgender cognitive aging, despite the All of Us signal, and genuine open questions about long-term hormone therapy. Nearly every quantitative study comes from the US, UK, or Canada, in predominantly white samples. Intersections with race, class, and disability are barely examined, and LGBT people living with dementia are largely absent from the literature in their own voice. I don't think any of this warrants pessimism. The remedy is unglamorous but clear. Ask the question in consensus, cohorts, and clinical records. Fund longitudinal studies designed around these populations rather than adapted to them. Recruit inclusively into brain donation programs. We didn't understand vascular dementia until we built the studies capable of seeing it. The same holds here. In this Pride season, the most useful thing our field can do is start counting properly.
Thank you for listening. Join the Dementia Research bloggers and share your own views.